Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Africa Weekly Talk. Today's subject on the docket: hate him or love him. Elon Musk. Elon Musk becoming the world's first trillionaire. And this milestone by Elon Musk has also generated a heated debate about the control of wealth by one individual. So now, fellows, the question is this milestone by Elon Musk an inspiration or abomination? Because to some people, it's an abomination. They can't stand the idea that one man can control so much wealth. But I believe in acknowledging success. I believe in learning from those who have come before us, the successful ones, the mistakes they made in life, and learning from all of that, and using that as a foundation to build on our own successes. So I take emotions out of people's personal behaviors towards others and so on and so forth. I look at the real deal. What made them to become successful and what can be learned from these people who have become successful. By looking at this milestone by Elon Musk also has created a lot of division among those who think that he's a terrible person, to the extent that some people even calling him a racist. I don't know Elon Musk. I don't know if he's racist or not. But people raise the issue of him being born in South Africa. I mean, apartheid South Africa. And therefore, because he's from apartheid South Africa, raised on the apartheid South Africa regime, 9 out of 10 will make him a racist, which I disagree on that issue. And out of that, everything that he has accomplished in this 21st century should be discounted or ignored because of the fact that he came out of apartheid South Africa, which I disagree. Because if you're going to go by that metric and judge people based on the environment that they grew up in and label them with that being racist or not and so on and so forth, then we cannot celebrate successes in America as well, going back 200 years. Because you had similar situations in America where you had Jim Crow laws. But through that situation that also happened in America 200 years ago also came about with very successful industrialists: Henry Ford, Vanderbilt, MUSK'S, Carnegie, and John D. Rockefeller. And all these names that I just mentioned have also contributed to mankind on this planet Earth that we live on today. John D. Rockefeller uses money to fund research into sciences, to cancer research, and all sort of research into human health conditions and so on and so forth, that today have helped care and so found solutions to some of the health problems that exist all over the globe today. But Rockefeller grew up in America in the 30s, in the 40s, where there was racism. I'm not saying there's no racism right now, but I mean, it existed. There were Jim Crow laws and so on and so forth. But he used his wealth also in a very positive way in so many areas that people will come to benefit, either Black, Chinese, Asian, or Indian, or whites, or whatever. It didn't matter. It is through that research, that foundations that he established, the money that he put into those foundations, that will eventually help find solutions to some of these health problems that has existed and continue to exist in this world. So I don't go with this issue of if the man grew up in South Africa or apartheid South Africa or and so forth, he has to be racist. So I don't go by that. I'm looking at what the man has accomplished and his contribution to the world as we live in today. And nobody can dispute that. Because if you look at Elon Musk, moving from South Africa to Canada and then eventually coming to University of Pennsylvania in America and never turned back and stayed in America and came up with all these industries. Started with the first one that he founded was Zip2. Direction, more or less like a GPS form of, direction to companies, like what we call the yellow pages, technological yellow pages. Zip2, that's what he founded first, sold Zip2, and then came up with X.com, as well as which will eventually become what they call PayPal. That will also be sold. And taking that money and investing that money into SPACEX. That is what a lot of people don't know. Tesla will come a year later. Elon Musk founded SPACEX first before Tesla. When he saw PayPal, he used all that money to fund SPACEX. And then he will join Tesla that had already been on paper founded by Martin Eberhard, Mark Tapenin, and Ian Wright, as well as J.B. Straubel and Elon Musk. But it was Elon Musk's money. The VC came from Elon Musk. He was the VC of the early founding of Tesla. So those 5 founding members of Tesla, yes, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tapenin were the ones that officially registered Tesla. But it was on paper. It was Elon Musk who put the money in and contributed. And for Tesla to become what Tesla is today, it started with Elon Musk when he took the helm of Tesla in 2008. Yes, Tesla had started with a Roadster, build a sports car Roadster and also and so forth. And, by that time, it was just, the experiment was still ongoing. For Tesla to move from just a small Roadster sports car for few people to become what it will eventually become, it was Elon Musk that took the helm of the company and built it to that level. So yes, Elon Musk was not the founding father of Tesla, but he was one of the founding members of Tesla. And his contribution cannot be discounted. Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to one thing. If he had not put in that money, that even Martin Eberhard and Mark Tapenin agree in their interviews, that it was their money that came from Elon Musk. Because other people that they talk to wouldn't come up with, if they come with money, they come with a lot of restrictions. But immediately that they met Elon and talked about the idea, he was right on board. And he didn't hesitate a bit to invest that money into Tesla. But at the end of the day, if you look at what Elon Musk has contributed to the world, that is where this whole subject today is more about. And this milestone of becoming a trillionaire. I mean, look, fellas, after all I've said about SpaceX and Tesla, even if you look at the achievement in terms of environmentally, from Tesla becoming the major electric car company that will transform the car industry and the emission of CO2 into the air, into the world, that by itself is a key milestone that a lot of people don't even talk about. Because prior to Tesla, a lot of car companies had started electric cars. Electric cars go back over 100 years. Electric cars did not start with Tesla. As a matter of fact, go by in the early 1900s, there were electric cars in America. In the 70s, there were electric cars that were started by companies. Even some were started by General Motors, Honda Motor Companies, all these major car companies. But there was one problem with all of them. They could not develop a system that would be able to be sold as a mass production car. So more or less, they were all on the test prototypes that were built because of the issue of the batteries that they needed to have that will travel for a long distance and be able to sustain at a very reasonable cost. So a lot of these car companies, and even small companies that have built electric cars, were not able to put together what will be sustainable to become a mass production car company. And then came Tesla and Elon Musk. They were the first to come up with a battery system that will be able to transform the electric car industry. And that is what Tesla did. And up to this day, all electric cars that are being built around the world follow that same playbook by Tesla. Right now, as I'm speaking, we know BYD of China, all those companies came out of Tesla. It was Elon Musk that established Tesla in China and introduced this electric car development system to Chinese in China. And they took the technology, adapted it, and they started building their own prototypes and eventually came with all these electric car companies, BYD and so on in China. So without Tesla, there'll be no electric cars around the world today. It might have come later, but for all the electric cars to exist in this world today, all boils down to Tesla. It was Tesla that set the foundation for the modern electric car industry today. And that's a heck of an achievement that we cannot ignore. And the contribution factor of even the electric car is the CO2 emission that they have contributed in terms of eliminating vast majority of CO2 emissions that combustion engines have created in the world. So you look at Elon Musk and you look at the environmental organization around the world. That was the one car company that they hailed because of that. But how did it change? The man who was hailed as a hero because of the contributions of CO2, elimination of CO2 into the world atmosphere, now become the lightning rod, become the most hated industrialist to some, and most beloved to some also in the world, all because of his politics. It is the politics dynamics that changed. And now going back to him founding of SpaceX. SpaceX also is the most environmentally friendly space in industry technology. NASA and Russia and the Chinese and all the other space companies around the world don't use the same technology that SpaceX uses. So if you're looking at that environmentally, SpaceX technology, the one that they use, the rockets that they send into the space, they recycle that same rocket is what they use over and over and over again. Meanwhile, cutting down the emission of CO2 into the world atmosphere. Something that NASA was not able to do. Something that the Russians, the Chinese, or any other space company around the world has been able to do. But it's being done by SpaceX. That's also another contributing factor of Elon Musk's successes in terms of contributions to a cleaner environment around the world. So you look at all these factors, and then this man, by what he has accomplished, and now he's being rewarded by going public with SpaceX and now becoming a trillionaire. And then you hear some negative aspects of him becoming a trillionaire from some socialist or communist people saying that it's unfair for one man to accumulate all this wealth. But people forget how this man got to where he is today. I mean, they talk like as if like this man was given $1 trillion. I mean, if you're listening to Elizabeth Warren, as a matter of fact, when SpaceX was about to go public, she was trying to put a bill to stop NASDAQ from changing its rules um, that will allow the NASDAQ index funds. I mean, the funds that pretty much are held by pension funds and 401k funds and so on and so forth, from also getting in on the action, because NASDAQ naturally gives about a year before most of these index funds can also trade or buy uh, uh, into IPOs. So NASDAQ had to change that. So that will give these index funds the opportunity also to get in on the deal. And Elizabeth Warren didn't like that because of the risk. By the end of the day, you either get in first, yes, it's risky, but you get in first, also getting the good rewards with that. But eventually, I mean, she didn't go anywhere with her talk, or her bill or whatever. And then you also heard from Bernie Sanders talking about how unfair it is for one man to accumulate all that wealth. By the end of the day, fellas, this is what true capitalism is all about. Because every now and then you hear people talk about how it's unfair that this man has accumulated all this wealth, but people don't talk about the struggles, the risk, the drive, the dedication, the hard work that this man had to put in to get to where he is today. They talk as if like this man became wealthy, he was able to become successful by somebody giving him or handing him money. No. Going through the history of Elon Musk, this man at one point was even sleeping on the workroom floor of Tesla. I mean, this man sold his companies on PayPal, Zip2 and X.com. Got a lot of millions of dollars. He could have decided to use that money to go and sit somewhere on the beach, and retire and enjoy that money. And he could have enjoyed that money until he died. But he decided to go through with his ambition, his dreams of building something with regards to space, because that's what he talked about. And eventually, he was able to become successful in that. Even when there were doubters, the engineers that he brought in, former NASA engineers, scientists. As a matter of fact, talking about the founding of SpaceX, there were 5 former NASA engineers or so. 3 of them refused to join him. So it was only 2 that will eventually join him in with SpaceX. And with the money that he got from selling PayPal, $100 million, he invested that money into SpaceX. And guess what, fellas? The first Falcon rocket blew up, was not successful. Second Falcon rocket blew up, also failed. Third Falcon rocket also failed. So now just imagine having worked so hard and accumulated all this wealth, hundreds of millions of dollars, and then investing in a company, and the first 3 rockets all failing abysmally. All failing. And looking at $100 million of investments. And to some of even Elon Musk's friends were even surprised. They thought he was going to stop there when 3 rockets failed. One of his friends said he thought this guy was going to just stop, but this man, no, that wasn't Elon. Elon believed in it, and he kept pushing, and he went for the 4th one. And eventually, the 4th Falcon was the Falcon rocket that succeeded. And it was right after that, with the success of the Falcon 4, is when Barack Hussein Obama at that time himself hailed the successes of Elon Musk. So it was Barack Hussein Obama's NASA administration that will award the $2.5 billion contract of SpaceX to carry the payload for NASA. it was Barack Hussein's administration that would do that. But a lot of people talk now as if like, oh, Elon Musk became successful and through government deals. No, 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 no. He had to prove himself because NASA was spending so much money and wasn't getting anywhere. The budget of NASA was huge. So the federal government under Barack Hussein Obama's administration realized that, look, if we can get SpaceX to carry the load for us, to do some of these things for NASA at a very minimal cost, I mean, huge cost difference comparably to what NASA was spending, then why don't we give it to SpaceX? And guess what, fellas? SpaceX was able to do exactly that. So that investment that Barack Hussein Obama's administration did with SpaceX paid off big time for the U.S. taxpayer as well as NASA. And from that point, that has been the deal between NASA and SpaceX all the way to this year, 2026. So at the end of the day, if you look at all the failures that this man has to go through, and then today, he decides to go public and becomes a trillionaire. And then you hear people talking about how it's unfair that one person controls so much wealth. Fellows, man, look, I celebrate SPACEX. This is a textbook inspirational story that children have to be told over and over again to inspire the wannabes or future Elon Musk's or future scientists or future businessmen, entrepreneurs, or industrialists all across the globe. There's no better story of triumph, of failing, and getting up, stumbling, falling down, getting up, stumbling, falling down, getting up, and eventually able to get up and walk and run. There's no better story than SpaceX story. And this is a story that people have to celebrate, but not to hate. But unfortunately, because of Elon Musk's ties to the early days of Donald J. Trump's administration, especially with the Doge, that became a lightning rod among a lot of people, and which I get it, because Doge was there, to, create, cut federal jobs, and, a lot of people lost their jobs because of that. So it became a lightning rod, and out of that, he drew a lot of attention to himself. A lot of hate came with that. As a matter of fact, Tesla one time, it was like an abomination because people, decided not to buy Tesla, were selling Tesla. It was all over online, in Europe, all over the world because of Elon. By the end of the day, when you look at all these things and you dissect all of them and deal with the reality, taking the emotions out of it, there's no way you can discount the achievement and the successes of Elon Musk in this 21st century. He is the most greatest industrialist, innovationist, and developer in the 21st century or in our era. And nobody can dispute that. You may not like his antics, you may not like his politics, you may not like his personality. But at the end of the day also, you cannot deny that he's one of the greatest industrialists the world have ever seen. And everything that I said, talk about SpaceX, Tesla, Starlink, all of these great innovations and the contributions to the environment. You talk about the huge contributions to the environment, because without Tesla, all this CO2 talk, this climate change talk, the Paris climate change and all that stuff would never have happened as massively as it has happened if not for the electric cars. And for electric cars to be mass produced today on this planet Earth, it has to be with Tesla. It was Tesla that laid the foundation for the electric cars to become what they are today on this planet Earth. So, fellas, I get it. Elon Musk is like a lightning rod, like I said before. People hate him and some people love him. By the end of the day, if you look under the hood and you take all the noise and everything out, and you look at what this man has accomplished and his contributions to the world, we cannot deny that this man should be considered a proud son of Africa, a proud son of America, and a proud son of the world. All right, fellas, if it's Sunday, it's the Africa Weekly Talk. God bless you guys and have a great week. Thank you guys, and peace and love.